All right, so the topic for the moment, I repeat for you all, is breaking clutter in the Indian branded content space. We have Vijay Koshy sir over here, President the Viral Fever, and he'll be joined by the likes of Keval Bhanushali, co-founder and CEO, One Finance. May I please have him on stage? Mohit, Raina, Marketing Communications Manager, IKEA. May I please have him on stage? Ambrish, Verma, writer, director, actor. And a wonderful powerhouse of talent, Ahsaas, Channa, actor. Just look at the team, ladies and gentlemen. यहाँ left से लेके right पूरा सिर्फ एक ही शब्द दिखता है, talent. That is what it is. Thank you so much. The stage is all yours, sir. Please, let's go forward with the session.
Thank you so much. You got that right about talent. This panel is full of insane amount of talent, for sure. I'm always wondering whether the session after lunch is the trickiest or the session at close to 5 o'clock is the trickiest. But I'm hoping this panel is going to keep you engaged and you've had your shots of caffeine and whatever else is your poison that's legally allowed at this time of the day to keep you awake. But these conversations definitely will. I'll just do a quick round of introductions and we'll start with the youngest first. She's younger than my daughter also, incidentally. That's Ahsaas. She's like a child prodigy, so to speak. She's been in the industry, I think, more than all of us put together. She's got 20 plus years of acting experience. She's done movies. She's also played Shah Rukh Khan's son in a particular movie. She's done a lot of acting assignments on a lot of web shows. I wouldn't be terribly off if I were to call her the Alia Bhatt of the digital world. And she has a very, very promising career ahead of her. Besides all of this, she also used to host a podcast. And she does a lot of other interesting stuff. I am hoping I've not missed out anything. We'll then move on to Ambrish. Ambrish, again, has a very, very interesting background. He's done an MBA, and he's done a sales job. He was with us at TVF. At some point in time, he was trying to do business development. And then the creative bug bit him. And he then went on to do acting. And he's now probably one of the MVPs in our system, most valuable players. He does acting, he does writing, he does direction. I'm wondering if there's anything that he cannot do. So that's Ambrish for you. Next up is Mohit Raina, a very, very dear friend and someone I look up to for his tastes in music, his tastes in movies, has had a very, very interesting career. I spent 10 years with Pepsi. Then he was with DNA. I think the music passion had to take over at some stage. Incidentally, on a busy working day, he also goes and watches the Indian hockey team playing their matches and India beating Pakistan 4-0, was it? And I think that's one of the happiest moments in his life. And last but not the least, Keval. He's a financial wizard, has been in the BFSI space for over 2 decades with various companies. Now, currently, he's the co-founder and CEO of One Finance. Also amongst us, I think the only author of a book. You must try and get your hands on that book. It's called Fintegrity. I think, anyway, more about as we get along talking to each of them. I'll start with Ahsaas. Just want to, since you worked, you're also an individual creator and you worked with large creative houses like TVF and some of the others. How different is it from doing your individual branded content and working on a show like, say, Girls Hostel or a Kota Factory? Or what's been your experience like?
Firstly, hello everyone. I'm very, very happy to be here, and thank you, Vijay sir, for such a lovely introduction. I would actually say that it's not very difficult, and I think the entire credit goes to the team that works on branded content for me. As I'm an actor, I feel like I'm a puppet of the director and the writers. All the brands that I individually work with, when I do these one-off reels and I put branded content on my social media, I feel like I've been very lucky that I get to work with brands who are so collaborative. They just don't come and tell you कि ये हमारा brand है, ये आप इसको ऐसे integrate करो. They are always open to ideas. They are always open to they basically study my profile and then they are like, okay, probably you could integrate this brand in your daily vlog or however you want. So they are always very, like I said, collaborative, and they give me the entire freedom to do whatever I want. So that is where the job becomes really easy and smooth. And when it comes to shows, I feel like, again, I'm a puppet. The entire credit goes to the writers and how seamlessly they integrate brands in like conversations or in scenes and stuff. Like I've done Girls Hostel, which had Whisper as a brand. And because I think
And you work with Whisper individually also in a
Yes,
big way.
Yes, I have done. I did like a couple of campaigns for them. And it was really fun because I remember it was something about no deadlines. And it very beautifully just set in with the storyline of Girls Hostel. So I think even audience, they just love it when it's not, the brand integration is not in your face. It's very smoothly put in and integrated. And as an actor also, I think I just need to believe in it. I need to do it with conviction so that it doesn't feel it's very brandy or it's in your face. So I think the entire credit goes to the entire team.
Okay. Mohit, with your work experience largely with MNCs like Pepsi and Domino's and now with IKEA, how difficult is it to convince, because a lot of them have global guidelines on what can be done, what can't be done. And IKEA as a classic example is a new entrant to this geography. How difficult is it for you to convince the powers that be that you need to experiment with something like branded content? And especially when there are so many other buzzwords like AI and all of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Thanks, Vijay. I think I totally understand the problem that most marketers face when they are asked this question on whether to invest in branded content on OTT platforms. I think, I've spent, like you mentioned, 10 years with organizations like Pepsi, and when you're a category manager, you have certain powers at play, right? Depending on which organization you are at, it's either a brand wheel or a set of brand pillars or a brand key, and you have certain levers that you are able to push and pull, right? From creating the creative strategy to making a media plan. So everything's in your control. I think with branded content on OTTs, the challenge is to be able to let go of that, right? At some level, I think the key is to understand that, and I think all marketers will be better served if they change branded content to a different phrase and actually call it content that is branded. Because you have to realize that, this is, I think you have to understand that your brand plays a role in someone's life. A real life is not exactly advertising. So, I think, given how much content there is out there today, it's more and more important for us to be able to accept that reality that we need to be a part of real lives and real stories. And that's really where the beauty of, integrating your brand comes in. So, and IKEA is that kind, and if I can take that, sort of speak about the brand I work on now, IKEA is exactly that kind of brand, which wants to plug itself into real lives and real people. And that's where I think branded content works so beautifully for us.
So if I were to take what you said in the beginning is marketers should learn or should begin to unlearn what they've done in the past and
Absolutely, yeah.
and otherwise typically they are in the habit of controlling everything and the entire narrative and all of that.
Yes, I'm not going to be very popular with most organizations, so, but yes, that is the truth. That is the absolute truth.
Yeah, I think because, times have changed, this one size fits all approach does not work anymore. And at the end of the day, India is such a diverse country. Every 100 kilometers, our cuisine changes, our culture changes, the way we speak change, everything. So it's difficult for a marketer to know all of that and be able to adjust. So I think at some stage they should learn to let go and give control to the creators and trust their judgment, yeah, and basically walk the talk with them. Okay, so Keval, you're the founder, you're the CEO, so I'm hoping you didn't have the challenges that Mohit has to convince people in Scandinavia as to what are the new things that IKEA should do. But I'm sure you still have a bunch of people said, "Arey yaar, aaj tak le lo ya kuch aur le lo, news le lo. Why are we investing in something like this?" I mean, how did you manage to persevere through all that?
So yeah, I mean, thanks Vijay firstly, for having me here, and a very good evening to all of you. Like you said that being a CEO could probably mean that I don't have anybody to answer in that sense, but that's not true. I am probably the
you have the board to answer to you.
Yeah. So I've taken a decision to finance 7 commercial films till date, and out of this, 6 of them were super flops. And so when you take a decision as as a fund manager of a private equity firm or a particular film fund or any kind of now as a brand, the most audacious decisions can often go wrong. It's important to strike a balance between being data obsessed and data misinformed. So I always talk about this when I talk to my CMOs across the group and all. So currently at a group level, of course, we have 6 different companies, and all of them have separate marketing heads and all of them, right? So we as a country, we are data misinformed versus the West. We try to copy things from the West just like that, and we think that being data obsessed is pretty good, but it's often not. And those are the kind of people who come across, and then they are the naysayers, like you said. They'll always have that no. If I talk about the point in case here, OTT ka consumption is not from the very high-end kind of people. There are people who would come across कि नहीं ये particular English channel ही आप करो, आपका segment थोड़ा सा premium segment है. The fact is that India currently is a land of 5 countries, and then you have something like a BR and Jharkhand with a $600 per capita income. Then you have something like Mumbai, which is at $28,000 per capita income, right? So it would be really stupid to have the same kind of content for all of them. The challenge is to figure out that which OTT platform or which content creator has the highest number of these people, and they are scattered across the country in different pockets, and to create a particular content and a genre, and then like Mohit just mentioned, you can't go out there selling your product anymore. You have to solve. There are 2 types of product manufacturers: one who sell and the other one who solve. You can't keep on selling beyond a point to a smart investor or a smart customer. You have to solve for them, and for that it is very important that you quietly and smoothly integrate your communication with the particular content piece. And I think some brands like TVF and all, they have been doing fabulous job. So for us it was like a very clear understanding that if we are doing it, we are going to do it with the best ones, or we don't do it. There's no point playing a middle ground here.
I just hope more brand teams and more companies get leaders like you, where the teams are encouraged to try out something new and are trained not to worry about failure, because if you haven't failed, what have you learned?
Yeah, but I would say that let them not be, as stringent as I was, and learn from my failure in the initial days, trying not to be creative. I would have a very strict request to anybody who owns a brand here that do not try to take creative calls yourself. I mean, running a business, understanding finance or understanding your product is not understanding creativity. So right now also, like, I never give any creative inputs. My creative inputs have been horrible.
I think another advice for marketers, I think, this part of the let go philosophy, we tend to think we are very, very creative and we get so passionate about our brand that we have a point of view on everything that actually happens. My next question is for Ambrish. You have created a lot of successful shows and most of them have had a brand in it. What do you see their role? Do you consider them an ally? Is it a necessary evil? What's your advice to potential content creators of the future and how they should view brands?
Sir, from a very selfish perspective, like for example, an OTT would allow you to make some shows or tell some stories. This is just one more avenue which opens for you, where someone comes and says, okay, we'll give you the money. We'll give you this opportunity to make what you want to make. So I think it's one more avenue opening for you. So, I mean, of course they are an ally. And rather more because, like Keval just said, if an OTT gets involved, they also tend to be very creative, right? For example, if someone comes to TVF, then a lot of times they would come with their own, I won't say baggages, but their own POVs on how a content should be made versus how you as an entity would want to make it. Brands, especially of late, tend not to do that. When it started 2014, 15, 16, there was an issue where it became so branded that there was no substance in it. But now brands come, they know that they have to push a little so that what's in it for them, that doesn't lose, but it allows you a lot of freedom. And more importantly, when there's a brand involved, there is a specific timeline. So there is a surety of execution, which is even more important because creative projects start and there is a very high probability they might never see the light of the day for 50,000 reasons. But when there is a brand attached, there are deadlines, which is very hardcore for you as a creator because you're sort of chasing a deadline, so it becomes very hectic, so on and so forth. But the surety of it being made, I think it's a great thing.
So there are pros and cons of both approaches, but you're saying your advice to future or emerging budding content creators is to see partners see brands as a partner and an ally rather than be put off or be discouraged by this whole collaboration effort?
So I think so individual.
Because I see a lot of young creators who are averse to the idea of working on branded projects. So what would your advice be to them?
So I think independent creators, I don't think they would mind because it's end of the day, that's a place where they're earning money from. But yes, let's say if within a space like TVF, where there is an option of choosing something which is not branded versus which is branded, a lot of people come with the perspective of, oh, let me do something unbranded because I'll have my way, the brand won't come and dilute it. But again, as I said, so two ways. The first reason, which I've already said, that something which you want to make on your own, there is no surety it would get made. You can be very excited about it. You would want it to be made, but agar for whatever reason, internally, let's say, बहुत fly नहीं किया, or 50,000 other reasons, some brand did not show up, there is a possibility it does not get made. So one, two, yes, absolutely. Like, so if you write, right now, when you write something, there are a few problems you are to solve as a writer. Brand gives you just some more problems to solve. And end of the day, they might actually aid you in the writing process. So because when there is the entire universe open for you to write, you actually get confused. But when a brand comes, a universe is given to you at times, certain conflicts are given to you at times, it makes it easier for you to choose and then choose that path and write that story. So I think I don't see any con in that. Not trying to champion it too much because that's the nature of the platform, but I have only seen the positives of it because most of my projects have been branded so far. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just add to what Ambrish is saying. In TVF, what we do, some of our best shows have always been with a brand. Whether it's a pictures, whether it's a permanent roomage, whether it's a tripling, whether it's a quota factory, and the list goes on and on. So brands need us as much as we need them. So I think we should have a very open approach, open-minded approach as far as doing that is concerned. So Ahsaas, I'll come back to you. You've done a lot of individual work and you've done a lot of long-form shows. Where do you typically get the maximum engagement and the love from the audience, because since you've straddled both sides of the content world, is it more for the long-form shows? Is it more for the short-form content that you create individually with brands?
Sir,
Because when you do short-form individually, it's largely on your social media handles and
right. I mean, when we do short form formats, it's always on either YouTube or on Instagram. And when it's out, the response is very evident. It's right there in the comment section. But when you do long formats on an OTT platform, so you don't really know how the response is. You will only know it when you meet people or you get enough messages or people who meet you and tell you, okay, we watched the show. Like Half CA, for example, is a show that I very recently did, which was on Amazon Mini TV. It was by TVF. It was on an OTT, so we did not really know, we couldn't see the live reactions of people. Like there was no access to the comment
you
section.
just walked in and you were the one who got the maximum cheers. Obviously, the audience loves you, knows you, recognizes you from all the work that you've done. So that shouldn't be a worry at all, right?
But you need to know now, like I
Okay.
mean, I feel an actor always looks for validation. I think an actor is the most insecure person in the world. So
I've heard that line before.
I am a very insecure person. So I always need validation and I need it quickly. Otherwise, I'll keep thinking, I will keep overthinking how even if it's working or no. But but the response for, luckily, all the branded shows also that I've done have been really, really nice. Like Quota Factory was an academy. Girls Hostel, like I said, was Whisper. So all the shows, I think it works very well, and the response is always, when people come to you, when you're like in a restaurant or if anywhere and people come to you and they just say that we watched the show and we really liked it, and that's how you know, and that's how you can gauge how the show has done and how people are liking it.
Okay. Mohit, again, I just wanted to check, there is no measurement currency at this point in time like we have for traditional advertising. So in the absence of any such ways of justifying your investment, I'm very curious to understand what makes you come back again and again to this form of brand building. And of course, then what is the lesson for marketers here? What is it that they can imbibe from?
Unfortunately, there will be no moment of enlightenment here today. It is actually I mean, you're right. There's precious little to work with. From a data and scientific point of view, of course, you have engagement rates, like shares, the standard measurements for any content which is put out on a digital platform. But I think the one piece that I rely on personally, and it was interesting, when you were sitting outside and Ahsaas was talking about how she is gauging whether Half CA is working for her or not, or working for you guys or not, is how many people reach out to her. And believe me, that is exactly how I measure success of any content that we put out. How many people are talking about it? How many people are engaging with it? How many people are actually having conversations around it? And that's what really I am tracking. And I think everything that we've done in the past has led to a significant increase in conversations. And I'm not really looking for how much they're talking about, oh, that brand was part of it, because that's never going to be part of actual conversation. So if they have been engaging with the actual content and they're talking about it, I think that's good enough for me.
Wonderful. So Keval, I have watched some of your advertising, your communication, all of that. In the BFSI space, you focused more on educating rather than the way the rest of the competition does. So for a relatively new brand, I mean, IKEA at least is a kind of a legacy brand and it's a very aspirational brand for most of us, although they want to change that image. But you are a relatively newer brand in the B2C space. Why did you choose to bet big on branded content?
See, couple of reasons, like earlier also I was mentioning. Of course, One Finance is a relatively new brand that we have created in the past one and a half year. But we have created multiple businesses in the past. The user has evolved, like from an ignorant user to a smart user. We have made that transition. Now you cannot just advertise to a smart user. You can't, otherwise you will end up being over smart, right? You can't tell them that, okay, I'm going to give you this magic pill and it's going to work and you're going to be like losing 10 kgs in 5 weeks or 2 weeks and all that, right? Those things don't work with smart user, which is the case in India right now. The payable user base is anywhere between 7 to 10 crore for most of the products in an M&I space or a mass affluent space in India. And once you understand that, you have to be very, very clear in your communication, which cannot happen through a typical advertisement, and which just, Mohit mentioned here. I've been talking to Ambrish also about it, and how we also see it is, at the end, there is nothing called as, ROI. ROI ke baad mein then we talk about organic and inorganic. Organic is just as delusional as self-made. You can't be a self-made man. You can't have just organic as a end use case. There has to be some amount of investment inorganically that can lead to a lot of organic pull if your product is good. Having said that, taking forward from what he just mentioned, it is important for a brand that the show is successful, that the story of the show is being talked about, and not the advertisement or that. So when you see about our communication, a very small thing, the first brand film, as a brand also, which we individually produced, it was a 2-minute kind of a film, and nowhere till the end screen you would know that it is One Finance film. We did not have those flying floaters, or we did not have those right side mein kahin pe ek logo dal do, niche kahin footer dal do, so that people are watching and click through rate and view through rate, all the matrices that are there. We were very clear, let the message go. At the end, if somebody likes the message, they figure out in today's day that who has spoken this. People are able to figure out about Lao Tzu, who was there centuries back, that what did he say, or Socrates, what did he say. So what line is said by whom, it's very easy to figure out today. And when you are dealing with that kind of a user, I think branded content has decoded that for now. They help you get your products in real life situations and their use cases, which cannot happen through advertisement, irrespective of the, whatever ambassador you have or a brand ambassador you have.
Okay, so from what I hear of your response is that be authentic. Also try and look for engagement with the audiences, your consumer, and less is more, so to speak. I mean, you don't have to be in your face all the time. Okay. It shows time is up, but I will ask one last question to Ambrish on, you've delivered projects where both audiences and brands are happy. How do you, I'm referring specifically to a show that he conceived last year. He wrote the script, he directed it, and he also starred in it, called NCR Days. If you guys haven't watched it, please do take a look at it. It was in the IMDb top 10 list from all of India. So, yeah. We can make a show of the making of NCR Days, but that discussion is for some other day. But tell us about your experience and how do you manage to maintain the balance between both the brand and the content?
So I think, sir, the goal is single. You can only aim to make a good story. Now within that good story, there is, of course, a possibility the brand does not get its due share. There is a possibility. But if that's for sure, if the story does not work well, Nothing else will. Nor the brand, nor the actors, nor the DOP, and nothing. So the thing of primary importance is the show, the story has to be extraordinary. Okay, I'll not use that word, but it should be good. That's the priority. Now, if that is happening, and if the rest of the stuff, for example, if there is a brand involved, and now good thing here at TVF is we have people who are who sort of knows the who know the the best way to, let's say, integrate a brand. A lot of people are here. Satya is here. Pranav is here. Now they then ensure that, of course, as a creator, you also try to ensure that, but that they are there to sort of give you those once in a while those checks that maybe we need to communicate it better. Maybe this is a better place. Maybe this is not. And now to make it sound organic, that's the writer's craft. Now if you're making branded content, you can't keep it separately. कि मेरी कहानी चल रही है, ये मेरा brand आया, and then I go back to my story. No, so as a writer, you also have to make it a part of your craft that you have to imagine. For example, if I love a certain coffee, a certain cafe, let's say, और उनकी coffee मुझे पसंद है, so you have to imagine yourself in those scenarios talking about that coffee. How would you talk about that coffee? It would sound very organic. The enthusiasm will pass on to your friend you are recommending it to. You have to ensure that in the story as well. So it cannot be story, then a very dull and monotonous conversation of the brand. So you, as a writer, have to keep figuring out what are the best possible ways to have the brand in the story. And again, so I don't know how much I've summed it up, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think from what I'm hearing from you, our biggest client is the audience. As long as you keep them happy, I think the rest of it will automatically fall in place.
And because so also the audience knows that here is someone making content for you for free. So they give you that pass that if there is a brand, even if you're boring me for these 2 minutes, I owe it to you. So rather if you try to go too subtle with the brand integration, audience knows that you are trying to deceive me. It's rather okay to say that we are talking about a brand because this is how we got to make this show.
Sure.
So it's like, again, a little gross analogy, but let's say if someone farts sneakily, you judge them. But when an Uncle G, a 50-year-old, farts with zero guilt about it, you laugh at it and you're okay with it. You're getting me? So don't try to, yeah, so I think that analogy works. Don't try to conceal it. Don't try to be, I don't know, try to be smart, rather over smart about it. It's there. People understand that audience is smart, so yeah.
I think like David Ogilvy said, don't take your consumer for granted. She's your wife. Yeah, so good. That's a good lesson. So while this time's up sign is flashing, there's one question that I'd like to ask each of you all. It's the same question. Your favorite piece of branded content that you've seen, you recall, or you like, or you recommend to your peer group, your friends, etc., etc. And the same question we'll quickly pass it on to all the others.
I can't think of anything that's my favorite, but do you know that Xerox is actually a brand and it's not the act of, it's actually printouts, yeah, photocopies, but it's actually, so like all this while, I just very recently got to know that Xerox is actually a brand and it's not the act of taking photocopies, and I was blown away and I was like, oh my God, that's marketing.
Yeah, there are enough and more examples of generic branding. I'm sure yes. Mohit can add to the list, whether you want to FedEx it or... Huh? Yeah, okay, interesting. Ambi, yours?
So from our universe, I'll take a few names.
No, it doesn't have to be, please go ahead. It can be international, it can be whatever.
I think Ye Meri Family was pretty good.
Season 1?
Season 1, yeah.
Okay.
Permanent Roommates.
We actually integrated a brand which was not even physically present.
True, and also there were other limitations. I don't know if I can talk about those challenges, but still how they managed it was actually genius.
Yeah, we all know mutual fund chahiye, and I don't know how many of us know the actual meaning of what mutual fund chahiye and what they're trying to convey, but I think Ye Meri Family did that very well. It incidentally is also Mohit's favorite show. But Mohit, please take a stab at your favorite piece?
I have a few. I mean, strictly if it's about branded content, I'd have to say it's between Kota Factory and
Yay.
I know. And but I'd also have to take this leap of faith and actually mention Panchayat on this list. While it was not strictly branded content, but someone in the HRD ministry clearly missed a trick. I mean that the integrations of all those social initiatives was such a fantastic platform that
You won't believe it. We got a call from the PM's office, and this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and the open defecation program and all of
Exactly.
that. They've really applauded our work, and they wanted us to create a separate show.
Next time,
Just
come with an idea like that where I don't have to pay you.
Keval, yours before Sid comes and pulls the curtains down.
I'm not really sure if I've seen any show at length, but I mean I can say that I've noticed about the branded content in India with TVF, and that has been Kota Factory or the other few shows that I've been recently asked to see. So that's great. But I mean I've heard about it a lot, so I can just say that. But otherwise, I mean I feel I've also been a fan of the Lincoln Lawyer. I don't know if the brand paid them for that or no, but or it was the other way. I'm not really sure, but the car.
No, but a lot of the international brands, including Apple, have done this in House of Cards and
Yeah,
and a
so
lot
House of Card, Apple, yeah.
and
So
done in a very subtle
in a very
manner.
subtle way. So those are brands again. I sometimes I thought that probably they must have paid Apple too. I mean, you're talking about a $3 trillion company.
Why would
I'm
they
not
need to
really
do all
sure
this?
that
Yeah,
if they need someone to promote the brand, but
They're just the coolest brand in the world. I mean, why would they need to do
yeah,
it?
I mean, the valuation is as big as India's GDP, so I don't really qualify to comment on their branding strategy. But I think that's about it. The few integrations that I have seen that have worked really well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful panel, and you've been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.